and it's kind of an old one too, so I'm going to be going really general on this. I'm going to be doing an easier version of this, but if you can do this, then you should be able to do the other one, as the more complicated one as well. But first, let me increase the font. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so we're going to say public class IRS tester, match the file name, public static void main string arguments, and in here we're going to be making one income that's going to be taxed, and the way we're going to tax this is through the IRS thing. And like I said, I'm going to be skipping a lot of this, so to be honest, I haven't done a test run of this so far, if you guys know what I mean. So what we're going to do is create the Irs class, and we're going to be making a constructor, public IRS, and you're supposed to be using java.util. Like scanner and everything, but if you're able to do the previous assignments, you should be able to do this no problem. Anyways, what we're going to do is set the first value to boolean is married, and the second one double income. And let me just lower the font here really quick. It's a little too big. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is, oh man, now that's too small. Whatever. We're gonna make the private values that are global to this class only, and we're gonna call them is my married. So, private boolean and private double my income. So this is basically, am I married, and what's my money, okay? And I know what these are for each individual object that is taxed, like within the IRS class. So when we create the IRS and we send it its two parameters, the true and 10,000. Let's see, yeah, $10,000. We're gonna say my is married equals is married, which will send it its whether it's true or false, and then this will send it its income. So my income equals income. You should know how to do this by now. Look at my older tutorials if you don't. Anyways, we're gonna say public. We're gonna make something that deals information out. And since it deals information out, it's not going to be returning any value. It's just going to be printing out certain parts of information we need to know, like the federal tax and so on and so forth. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to say system.print line. Your tax is, whatever. And the way we're going to calculate this is say, if you're married, then tax at a higher rate. And if you're not married, which is also the else, and else is much more efficient than saying if not married, so always use the else when you can, then say then tax at the lower rate. Okay? So when we do this, let's say for shoot, I don't have the exact numbers with me, but let's say if our tax bracket is within $0 to $5,000. So if my income is greater than 0 and my income is less than or equal to $5,000, then tax at $5,000 range. Okay, and if my income is within the let's say $5,000 to $10,000 range, then we will tax at the $10,000 range. Okay, and let's say at the final bracket, there's only 3 brackets for now. Let's say at the final bracket, if you're over $10,000, then you're gonna be taxed at the final range, or the final bracket. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing for here, because the tax, let's say the tax brackets when you are married, right, are from here to here, here to here, and above 10,000. So this is basically saying if your income is between $0 to $5,000, then tax this much. If your income is from $5,000 to $10,000, then tax this much. And if you're over the final tax bracket, or like whatever the amount was, I think it was like 297,000, then tax at the final bracket, which was like 39%, which is pretty ridiculous. But anyways, okay, so this accounts for when we are married. If we're single, let's say the tax bracket is different. It's from this to 4,000, and 4,000 to 6,000, 4,000 to 8,000, right? And anything above 8,000 you tax at the final bracket, right? So after that, everything is pretty much simple. And we're gonna have to make one final, actually, your tax is, so we're gonna print out information, and that's gonna be what our tax bracket is. Yeah, that's what our federal tax will be. So, my income times whatever the taxable range is. Let's say for here it's 0.1%. And, between the, if you guys don't know what marginal taxing is, it taxes only at certain ranges, and beyond that range it taxes at a different range. So each section for taxing is a little bit complicated. You should read into it to have a better understanding. But the way Mr. Elliott puts it is, there's like some sort of random number, like, let me get my calculator out really quick. Oh wait, I don't need my calculator. So, if we're past the $5,000 range, right, that means this is taxed for $500 at most, because we have $5,000 at most within this range, from 0 to 5,000, right? And that's taxed 10%, which means that's 500 plus my income minus 5,000 times whatever the new tax bracket range is. So let's say 0.2, because that's basically saying, okay, this 500 we're gonna tax in the first bracket range. Okay, the second one is gonna be my income minus the my nearest tax bracket range times the actual tax. And then for the final tax bracket range, we're gonna say the final range, which is 10,000. So let's say I had something like 12,000, right? It's gonna tax $500 for this, and between $5,000 to $10,000, it's going to tax $1,000. So this is another plus $1,000, and let's just clean that up. So we see that $500 comes from the first bracket, $1,000 comes from the second bracket. We combine those, and we get 1,500. Okay, and then let's say the final tax bracket is 30% or something. Okay, the same sort of mentality applies for here. Okay, let's say for singles it's a little bit higher, like 15% or something. Okay, and then that means at 15%, we're going to be taxing whatever the lower amount was, right? From 0 to 4,000, we're going to be taxing that much. So 4,000 times 0.15. Okay, that's $600. So that's our lowest tax bracket range. Plus, let's see. my income, so let's say I have like $6,000 right now. My income, so it falls within this range. So we just taxed our beginning bracket, and in our second one, we're gonna say 6,000 minus 4,000 will give us the taxable range in this in our bracket, which let's say is at 25% or something. Okay, and then for our final bracket, we're gonna, oh wow, that term's getting really old. But for our final bracket, we're gonna be saying, oh, so we're taxing the 600 from this first section. For the second section, we're gonna be taxing our maximum minus the minimum, which is 4,000, times the range, which is 1,000. And wow, that's actually really convenient. 1,000 plus 600 is 1,600. And FYI, just so you guys know, these numbers that are given for the previous tax brackets will already be given in his website, I think. Anyways, let's say it goes to 8,000 to and above, and let's say it's taxed at 35%. Anyways, wow, I finished that without any errors. Okay, it's gonna print our information out, and let's see. Let's do our calculations right now. Okay, if I have if I am married, okay. Oh yeah, I am married. Okay, that means, and my money falls within $10,000, which is right here. And just so you guys know, we need this equal sign. It could be either like this or like this, but read the instructions carefully, and you'll be able to tell if it means less than or equal to. You gotta read those signs. But anyways, let's move on. In order to check this, it should say your tax is, okay, look, if we are married, yes, we are married. If our tax income, 10,000, it is greater than 0, but it's not less than 5,000, right? So it doesn't fall in this bracket, okay? Let's see. Does our bracket fall within $5,000 to $10,000? As a matter of fact, it does. So this is what we're gonna tax it by. 500 plus my income, which is $10,000, minus $5,000. Whoa, what the heck? $10,000 minus $5,000. Okay, times 0.2, which is $10,000, plus the previous tax bracket range, which is $500, and our tax should say $1,500 if I did this correctly. Your tax is $1,500, okay? Just to check again, let's change this number to, let's say, we make $1,600, okay? And just so you know, these taxes will be super ridiculous. But, anyways, okay, let's see. And let's change this to false. Okay, so we're not married and we're making $1,600. If you think this is a waste of time, just keep following me with me. It's important to get a logical mentality of thinking for if-then statements. So just bear with me here. So we are not married and we're making $1,600. Okay, are we married? No, we are not married. So go to the else. We are not married. Okay, what is our tax bracket range? 1,600. So it doesn't fall in this range. From 0 to 4,000, it doesn't fall from 4,000 to 8,000. It falls in the 8,000 plus category. Okay, and to tax in the 8,000, $1,600 dollar income, or the 8,000 plus tax bracket, we're gonna have to say the first tax, we're gonna have to tax the first tax bracket plus the second tax bracket plus the final income minus the 8,000 times 0.35 to figure out our the excess tax for the final bracket. But conveniently, we already have the first two brackets calculated and added out, since they'll always be the same when they're maximized. We're gonna say 1,600 or 16,000 minus 8,000 times 0.35 plus 1,600. Okay, our tax should be 4,400. Okay, and our tax is conveniently 4,400. Okay, now let's go into Printf. I did a video on this too, but let me just recover it because it doesn't take very long. Yeah, actually, just for convenience sake, let's create a temporary variable called integer double federal tax, fed tax. Okay, and let's say let's set our fed tax to the system.print. Okay, really quick. So all we're doing is just saying the fed tax is equal to whatever we just printed. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is because we're gonna, at the end, after it says your tax is, we calculate our fed tax. We're gonna say system that we're gonna print out the actual tax. But in order to use printf, you almost always want to use simplified or like single variable variables. Yeah, that's basically it. Printf, and what are we printing out? Our fed tax. Okay, and the way we're printing this out is %.2f. Okay, percent signifies that, oh, we're gonna run into a special number, and the dot 2 represents how many decimal points we're gonna round it by, and the f represents the it represents the double floating point integer, as they say. Okay, now you see that it rounds to 2 decimal places, and with this you should be able to finish up the other assignment as well. So anyways, see you guys later. I hope this helped.